Hi, this is John Paris, and this is Online Guitar Lessons. Lesson 1, Beginner Level. We're going to cover today the very basic foundational material that you'll need on your road to becoming a qualified jazz guitar player. And that is, from the very onset, the major scale. That's our building block. But even further back, before that, we have to cover whole steps versus half steps. And I'm going to point out just at the onset, a lot of this is going to be material that you might be familiar with. And that's okay. Treat it as review, and we'll move into the heavy-duty, dirty stuff in no time at all. So on the guitar, half steps versus whole steps are very simple. It's the distance on any given string for a half step, 1 fret, versus for a whole step, 2 frets. And again, it's any particular string, and it can be up or down, ascending or descending. So a half step up, a half step down, a whole step up, a whole step down. So now that we understand what a half step is and what a whole step is, we're going to create a cycle of those half steps versus whole steps to generate the major scale. And you think of this in a similar way to the way that you think of a telephone number. You have 7 degrees that create a major scale, and that is a cycle of 7 intervals, either a half step interval or a whole step interval. And for us, the major scale creates this telephone number. Whole step, half step, put your comma there, and then whole step, half step. What that looks like on the guitar is this, and keep in mind I'm going across several strings, but you'll visualize this. It's whole step, half step, whole step, half step. That's the ascending major scale. So now that we've created that pattern, we're going to label each one of those pitches, each one of those notes. And this is universal from scale to scale. It's always going to look the same and act the same and function the same way. The first pitch here, stands to reason, is degree number 1, and everything else follows in the cycle. So it's 1, also known as the root, 1, 2, whole step up to 2, 3, whole step up to 3, 4, that's a half step, that's our first half step between 3 and 4, 4 goes up to 5 via whole step, 5 to 6 via whole step, 6 to 7 via whole step, and 7 ends again on 1 via half step. You may occasionally see 7 going to 8, and that's classical terminology. This is very much couched in a contemporary form. We're learning jazz guitar, jazz theory. Us contemporary musicians like to call it 1 every time. Whether or not you're at the bottom of the octave or the top of the octave, I'm just pointing out that you may occasionally see it called 8. We're always going to call it 1. When it reaches 7 up to half step, we'll call it 1. So that's our ascending major scale. Once again, with the degree numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. The half steps lay between 3 and 4, and again between 7 and 1. 2 half steps for every major scale.